Time to get the latest action in the World Cup. And for that, I'm joined by James Vecina and Tando Esibia. Great to have you both. Let's start with you. The quarterfinals getting underway. It's all happening very quickly. You must be very sad.
It's going too quickly every single time. It goes by too fast. It feels like it's just started, but here we are. So first game to come in these quarterfinals, France versus Morocco. What a showdown to come. The two sides going head-to-head in Boston. Second time in a row they're facing each other in the World Cup. Last time it was in the semi-finals. France won 2-0. And while Didier Deschamps has changed his team's playing strategy, that resulting in more goals, Morocco have been transformed under new manager Mohamed Wabi. Players have gained experience too, and France's manager appears to be keen on taking on this renewed side.
Morocco have since played in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations. They're a really great, excellent team with top-notch individuals. They're not here just to play, they're here to win. They like to have the ball. They like to attack and score goals. We have to be ready, perform at our highest level, and do our best against this great team.
Now, we'll be hearing from the Moroccan manager in just a moment. But first, do you think Deschamps is right in saying that he says that we need to produce our best? They need to fear this Moroccan side.
Of course. We've seen it in the tournament. Morocco is one of the strongest sides, not just on the African continent, but globally. Almost 40 matches undefeated if we don't count the now overturned result in the final of the African Cup of Nations, which has now been placed at 3-0 for Morocco. This is one of the strongest sides. They have... During the friendlies before the World Cup, they drew against Norway. They've had some really tough oppositions. They showed a really great show against Brazil, and that was one of the first games in the tournament where Morocco had the opportunity to kind of place themselves in the tournament. We've seen how they were in the previous game. They were incredible. They started off a little bit not so organized, not so confident, but eventually with time they found momentum, finished with a 3-0 result. It was sensational. They have the likes of a very experienced Achraf Hakimi. Unahi has been shining, might see the return of Ismail Saibari. So I do think that the French have a lot cut out for them.
We've got some news on Saibari coming up in just a bit. Delano.
Do we have any idea how the Bleus will be lining up today?
For the Bleu, we've got a vague idea. We can expect something very similar to what we saw in their last game. Little information, to be honest, coming out of that press conference. The only indications that we really got from the manager is that Aurélien Tchouameni has been training with the squad, but the midfielder has yet to fully recover from his thigh injury that he picked up in training last week. He was unable to play in France's game against Paraguay, so expect a similar lineup to that previous game. Here's a possible lineup against Morocco there. Deschamps having made very few changes throughout the competition. Only Desiré Doué is expected there to start on the left instead of Bradley Barcola and Manu Kone taking Tchouameni's place in the midfield. Barcola and Doué taking turns on the left. Two starts we've had Tando for Doué, but there's a form of competitiveness, but we know the two are very good friends, and doesn't seem to be any bitterness, and that is a great thing, surely, for the squad. They want to elevate the squad more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. You watch even the videos that come out of training, the vlogs that come from the French Football Federation. It seems like things are light. You have Ryan Cherki serving breakfast. They're practicing Michael Olise driving the go-kart. He's having discussions with Upamecano, Kone as well, getting into the mix. You can see that it's light, it's friendly. They seem to understand each other. They have formed a brotherhood, it seems. So even with game time, it doesn't necessarily seem like it's a competition to be fielded. And I think that's also a great thing when you have a manager or a coach like Didier Deschamps, who is somebody you can respect. He's won the World Cup as a captain. He's won the World Cup as a coach. And now gunning for another title. He's got so many other accolades. I think the man is capable and he's a respectable man. But what they've managed to put together as a project is very commendable, and it's beautiful to see. There were some rumors of Ryan Cherki being not so pleased with being fielded for the last 15 minutes of the game.
Because he's only been coming in really for a few moments.
Yeah, but also where do you place him when you have a front line with either Desiré Doué or Barcola, Ousmane Dembélé, Ballon d'Or winner, who's been exceptional in the tournament, Kylian Mbappé, and Michael Olise, the provider. When you have two providers in Bradley Barcola and Michael Olise, who are also very fluid in their movement. So you have a front line where he can be in the left wing, the right wing. You have Ousmane Dembele who can take shots with his left and right foot. How do you then integrate Cherki into this masterpiece?
Just too much.
But Didier Deschamps is doing it gradually. He fields him in the last 5-15 minutes. He has attitude, he has persona, and he has the capability and the IQ to change the flow of the game. So it's not that he doesn't have a place in this dispensation. I just think with time, we'll find it.
So Doué's going to come up against someone who he knows very well as well, Achraf Hakimi. Know each other, of course, from Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
So there's another kind of game going on between the two.
Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele are also quite familiar with Achraf Hakimi. So I do think,
this is going to be an interesting and a tough dynamic as well. We know. I mean, we're going to find out who has actually come out on top between. I mean, how do you see this playing out between Doué and Hakimi? We know, obviously, he's gone for probably Doué's technical abilities more than anything else.
Yeah.
But any idea of what we're going to see between the two there? How he's going to?
It's going to be a very interesting one. There's a show called The Bridge, and it's actually hosted by Aurélien Tchouameni. And they had one episode with Achraf Hakimi, Kylian Mbappe, and they were speaking about how they play against each other as oppositions. 2022, when France played against Morocco, which is another duel. Is it going to be a vengeful one this time around? We will see. But Kylian Mbappe expects a tackle from Achraf Hakimi. They understand the quality of the game. Apparently, it's Koundé who doesn't smile with anyone. He will tackle you, and on game day, he doesn't smile with anyone. So those are the likes that you should be worried about, But I don't think we'll be seeing something as blood hungry as what we saw France against Paraguay.
Probably
but I do think that
the
Moroccans can actually be very physical as well. We saw it in their last encounter against Canada. They can be very physical, they can get into your mind and then reorganize themselves tactically. I don't think it'll be as messy as Paraguay, but you do have other field players where we're talking about the likes of Mazraoui, we're talking about the likes of Ounahi. There's a lot of dangerous Moroccan players as well. So Achraf Hakimi is not the only one, but I do think in the wings they have to find a way to neutralize him if the French want to find opportunities.
And we're going to hope for everything to go in a fair play, which we can imagine it will be. Of course, that's been at the centre of decisions recently, and a lot of the talk, conversations, refereeing decisions, notably sides feeling left out, some saying they're being favoured. Egypt, for example, claiming that Argentina were given better treatment by French referee François Letexi in their round of 16 game. This time, though, it's an Argentinian referee and 4 other Argentinian officials who will be in charge. So let's first get the latest from Selena Sykes in Boston.
This is the first time at the World Cup that all of the on-pitch officiating team come from the same country. All football fans will know that there's no love lost between France and Argentina. They've become great rivals over the last few years at the World Cup. Back in 2018, it was France that knocked out Argentina in the quarter-finals. And then we all obviously remember that incredible final 4 years ago in Qatar. For Didier Deschamps, though, he says he's unfazed by the decision.
There's nothing we can do about the appointment of referees, so having said that, I'm going to try and put my trust in them. As far as I'm concerned, our opponent is Morocco. I'm not going to regard the referee as an opponent. Quite the opposite, in fact. He's there to ensure that the laws of the game are applied as fairly as possible.
Facundo Tello, the Argentinian referee who's been chosen to oversee that team of officials from his own country, is a very well-respected referee. He officiated a quarter-final 4 years ago in Qatar. And for the French side, Michael Olise will just have to be on his best behaviour because the French Football Federation's appeal to overturn his yellow card was rejected by FIFA.
Now, we've had a reaction also from former referee and now chief refereeing officer at FIFA, Pierluigi Collina, who had this to say. It came out on an interview on FIFA's website in which he says that overall they are happy. That obviously with so many games going on, there can be a number of things to discuss, he says, and that constructive discussion is always a big part of football. Then he also ends there saying that nobody can question the integrity of FIFA World Cup match officials. So that's a word there from FIFA that we've had regarding all those incidents we've had over the last few days there, Delano.
James, how are Morocco preparing for this match, and what's the injury situation like on their side?
It's definitely more serious on that side. So we were talking about Saibari. We've actually had a confirmation. Ismail Saibari will not be available for the Atlas Lions after hurting his hamstring in their last game. He left the pitch earlier on in that victory against Canada. He's instrumental, of course, for the team. And everybody else, head coach Mohamed Wabi says, is 100% fit. That's Algeria, of course, scoring 3 goals in all that, 1 in each group stage game. So important to them. He also scored in the winning penalty in their shootout against the Netherlands. Is this going to be, I mean, of course, Morocco managed to do it against Canada. Can they do it without him against France up front at least?
Yes, definitely. I think we saw it. He left the game early stages, so it wasn't even something that really overturned tactics drastically. You know, they were able to find their rhythm in the game. They created opportunities. They also have a lot of players on the bench, new guys. And also we saw Brahim Diaz shine very differently from how he's been since the start of the tournament. During the African Cup of Nations, it was Brahim Diaz who was the principal forward for the Moroccan side. But now we see him being more of a provider, a little bit less selfish, and that's what you need. When you have synergy in the front line, where there's not just one single creator of chances or one outright goal scorer, then it kind of tricks the opposition. Morocco plays a game with spaces as well. I see how they organize themselves really well on the terrain, and they use spaces, really using dummy players to move the opposition out of a certain space to then create a space for another player who can then be perfectly positioned, especially in the box, to then do the finishing work. So that's something we can definitely expect from the Moroccan side. France have very similar style as well. Geographically, these two countries are not too far from each other. There's a big exchange with football, understanding, with development. Morocco has put in billions towards investing on infrastructure, into the football structures in their country, hosted several tournaments. Next month, they'll be hosting the Women's African Cup of Nations. And so they have a lot of expertise, they have a lot of resources as well to then improve technically, tactically as well.
The squad, though, if I may, do have something that they don't necessarily want to have coming into this game. That's 4 yellow cards that were dished out in that game, all in the first half. Hakimi's on the yellow. We've got Hahal as well on the yellow as well. That's going to be a danger for them. Of course, we've got Michael Olise on the French side that does, but especially those two defenders who play side by side, that's not going to be reassuring for them. So they're going to have to be extra careful.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, but I do think that they will be capable to work a way around it. It's a danger, but you have to be willing to take the risk. If you need to go for that tackle, go for it and then see what happens afterwards. Honestly, because at the end of the day, this is the World Cup. Exactly. It's that or nothing. And if you don't take that risk, you might concede a goal. Or if you don't take that risk, you might lose possession or so and so how. So I do think that they have to be careful. And obviously with a referee like Facunda Teyo, who actually officiated Morocco and Portugal in the 2022 World Cup, and that's when Morocco advanced to the semi-finals, first time ever. So he's familiar with the way that they play. Does it mean that he's going to be biased or whatever? We know that referees have to be impartial, but we've seen over the past couple of games in the tournament that the officiating has been a little bit questionable, where it's leaning towards a certain side over another, not dishing that many yellow cards. Maybe Morocco will have the luck of the Paraguayans in this one, where with all the tackles, not a single one registered. So, yeah.
Who knows? I mean, there's certainly one great thing is their mind coming into this, and their manager's mind coming into it. He said actually in the press conference before that, he said, "This is not, we're not going to draw a conclusion to where we are now. We want to go further. This is not just bonus points that they're collecting. They want to go all the way. But should they exit tonight, it's not going to be a massive failure. You would agree for Morocco."
I don't think it will be a massive failure, but being eliminated from the World Cup when your objective is to make it past semi-finals, make it to the finals, and potentially even win, it's a huge L to take.
So we've got to keep those.
You have to keep it to the top. You need the mindset of the Cape Verdeans when they were coming into that encounter, to just be confident and aspire to actually go all the way, because that keeps them in the game until the dying minutes, until penalties, until the extra time. Because a lot of the African teams that have been eliminated, Ivory Coast, South Africa, Egypt even, when it comes to that 86th minute, you could be 2 goals ahead. We saw it with Egypt recently. It was so disappointing to watch that you could be leading the game, and in the 86th minute, yes, there's officiating, there is all other components. However, those 86 minutes and that last stretch till the 90th minute is where they have to keep their head in the game. The Moroccans have been really good at doing that, and that's actually been how the identity that they've actually established for themselves is being able to go all the way, especially in critical moments when it's almost at the end of the game.
And we'll find out at kickoff tonight. 10 p.m. Paris time is kickoff for tonight's game. So plenty to look forward there, Delano. As always, quick words for fellow journalist Christophe Glaise, who remains in prisons in Algeria after his finding that report, working on that report on football in the country. He remains in prison 2 years and counting to this day, but he is watching the game. So over there, a word, as always, for Christophe Glaise.
James, Tando, thank you so much. And that's where we leave it. Thank you very much for watching.